So I am so excited. We have arrived at my top dream destination, probably in the entire world, to photograph as a landscape photographer. It's a place that you have probably never ever heard about before, and I know that because I only just learned about this place myself last year. We are at a very small island located in the Atlantic Ocean, very close to Greenland, called Mayen. It's Norwegian territory, and it is just absolutely stunning. This here is a combination of the Icelandic Highlands and the Faroe Islands, and then with a little pinch of Japan. The sad truth is we just cannot see the Japan part because there's supposed to be like a big volcano here in the background, a little bit like Mount Fuji. But just look at this coastline. It is epic. So even though we are actually moving quite slow with the ferry, the landscape is just constantly changing, and me, Nigel and James, we're just running around like headless chickens here trying to capture everything. We have these beautiful sea stacks in here, and especially this one here, I like that very much from the angle a little bit further over. It looks like a moomin. And as you can see, we just have like perfect atmosphere to carve out the mountains here. It's quite an elongated scene, so what I'm also trying is to make some panoramas, and I'm also zooming in to the individual parts here with the mountains. In regard to settings, I need to shoot with a relatively fast shutter speed, simply just to capture some of the seabirds here in front. We have quite a lot of seabirds. You can probably see them down here following the ferry. Oh, look at those clouds up there. Amazing. And I'm also shooting with my Tamron 50-400. Well, I loaned Tamron 50-400 and just photographing and trying to stitch together a panorama at some point. But this here is just like absolutely incredible. The hope is that we can get ashore later today. The swell is pretty big for small zodiacs, so we are not entirely sure if that's possible, but I'm quite excited, as you can probably see here. So this here is probably going to be the most erratic video I ever made on my channel, and that says a lot. We'll come a little bit further down on the ship just to have a little less wind, so we are not getting pushed around. And we have, as you can see down here, seagulls, a bit of B-roll with seagulls flying. We have a rainbow coming out. Visibility isn't too great right now, but you can see here in the background we actually have taller cliffs than we had just before. And yeah, we are simply just jumping on the opportunities when they happen, because this here just looks beautiful. What do you say, Nigel? How is this?
This, well, doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. I know I say that so much, but this, there's just been so we were so down, so like oh, there's no light, there's nothing, we can't see anything, and then suddenly boom, and there was this amazing break in the clouds that looked epic.
I had to do a decent amount of dodging and burning and working with colors and contrasts as to get the most out of these super moody photos. If you want to learn how I edit photos like this, be sure to enroll in my huge post-processing course, Photoshop for Landscape Photographers, where either you use Lightroom or Camera Raw, and if you're able to translate these techniques yourself to other softwares, you should be able to get started, no matter if you consider yourself a beginner or an experienced photographer. There is a coupon code down in the description of the video to save a bit of money. A landing was announced, so we headed down and got in the Zodiacs for quite a wet and windy transfer to Jan Mayen. So we have just arrived at Jan Mayen. It's quite a privilege to be on this island because there's a plane coming in here 8 times a year with supplies for the scientists and the few military staff, I think, who lives here. And of course we are hitting today with the most Icelandic or Faroese weather I've ever experienced. But then it's on Jan Mayen. It is so beautiful. Luckily we are on the south side of the island, so we are a little bit covered from the strongest gale winds on the north side. Sailing in here, we just got pummeled by waves hitting the Zodiac and coming up, so already now I'm just like so wet. I'm not sure what to expect about photography from here, but yeah, let's check it out. After a brief introduction to the island by the manager, we headed up to take a look at the buildings and on to see a bit more of what the island had to offer. So we've been walking up through the little settlement. I think that is the most diplomatic way of calling it, a collection of houses. And we have come out to the coastline. This place is ridiculous. So just look at this sea arch right here. And then we have Sylvia Earle out here in the background. So I'm shooting this right now with my wide angle, 16 to 35 millimeter, bringing in a little bit of this rocky foreground, trying to line up this hole with this hole right here. Maybe include a bird that flies in from time to time. Yeah, this is just unbelievable. Look at that arch. Dream location to be. As you can see, I actually decided to let the little rock in the foreground line up with the hole in the arch instead. Small details like this just gives that extra little compositional spice to a photo. And if you want to learn more about composition, I have a couple of ebooks on exactly that topic. Here I share all the compositional tools I use. The ebooks are minimal on text and have loads of examples as to get to the point fast. There are links to both of them in the description of the video. I'm always in two minds about weather like this. Preferably you'd want a bit more visibility as to be able to see more of the island, but on the other hand, with the mood and atmosphere being so strong, you're able to capture gems like this one. So this right here has just been the biggest scoop, I think, of my landscape photography career. This place is not even on the official itinerary. It's only because we have had an extraordinary amount of ice along the Greenland coast that we've had to postpone getting to Greenland for for a couple of days. So we visited Mayen, and the privilege of being here is amazing. Got a few photos. I could spend months here. But I'm pretty satisfied with what I managed to get within 1 hour. Once back at the boat and leaving Mayen, the atmosphere along the coast just continued. The wind had also picked up, which made for some beautiful waves, and standing on the backside of the boat, James, Nigel and I kept photographing almost until we couldn't see the island anymore. As always, if you want to learn more about landscape photography, be sure to get my 2 ebooks on composition, enroll in my Photoshop course if you want to learn all my editing techniques. Thanks for watching. As always, I highly appreciate a like and subscribe if you want to see even more about landscape photography.